Hello, everyone. I hope today everyone feels good. Let's start our topic today. Still in the course of agriculture business planning. So, sorry. Okay. So here is the my presentation for today, and another handout. My note I already uploaded to the FLearn. So you guys actually can download it by through our FLearn. So the topic today for this first chapter is problem identification in agriculture field. At agriculture field, I'm sorry. So in this time, we are going to learn about how to identify the problem in agriculture field. It can be about the business, or it can be about the cultivation, about treatment, or another thing that goes during the post-harvesting. So I am Liska Simamora. You just can call me Liska. So today we have two topics. First, we have to learn about how to discover the problem, because actually there are so many ways to discover the problem. It can be by planning, or it can be accidentally. And the second one, after we discover the problem, and the next one is we have to analyze the problem. The aim of the analyzing the problem is about uh, to enable us to find the solution to the problem that we have discovered. So let's start from the first one, about discover the problem. We are so familiar about the problem. It seems like we use this word frequently. What's the problem? I have a problem. So I guess that it is not difficult for us to define the problem. But here I use the definition from Oxford Languages Dictionary that defines problem as a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. So it means like there is a situation that has negative impact to many things. It can be to people, to environment, or yeah, the it seems like bring like damage to the surface. Something that is not ideal, and that is called as a problem. And of course, the problem need to be solved. We have to overcome the problem, so we will meet the situation that we want. So there are, as I mentioned before, that there are some ways to discover the problem. First, but in this time, we are going to discuss these three ways. The first one is we can discover the problem by doing observation, or we can discover the problem by reviewing literature, or we can discover the problem by joining a discussion. So let's start from the first one. First, discover the problem by doing observation. So observation is we have to explore the situation in a particular object or particular area, because the problem can be obtained through object or through the areas. So if we want to observe the problem in object, it means that we have to see, we have to touch that particular object, that particular things. For example, if we want to, if you, for example, the object is, let's say, a product made of agriculture crops. One small middle enterprise created a project, created a product. Let's say the product is made of fruit, and that's a small middle enterprise creates the juice from that fruit. So once that product is at our hand, and we can touch the object, and we feel that there's something wrong with the packaging, maybe, or because it's a beverage, so it has a particular taste. So we can give a comment about the taste of the juice. Or maybe we can see like the packaging is not practically to be open. So we gather some problems when we touch that object. And the second one is we also can explore the situation in particular area. Let's say if we want to go to some areas, some places, because in agribusiness major, we used to go to some areas, rural places where the society there do like farming activity. And then we go to that area and we see, let's say, coffee plantation. And in this coffee plantation, they have a problem. What is the problem? Let's say the problem is the reducing of the coffee production. So we can see, we visit that area and then we observe why is the coffee production decreasing. So we visit that place and we observe the problem there. So in this first line, I want to emphasize that we can do observation through particular things or through particular area. If we want to see the problem in the object, so it means we have to touch that object, or if we want to know the problem in the area, we have to visit that area. So we cannot take the conclusion by doing a long distance observation. So we have to reach that place. We have to touch that thing. The second one is touching the object or visiting the area. As I mentioned before, we have to touch that thing and also we have to visit that area. We cannot do a long distance observation. That is forbidden. And the third, determine what things so irregular it is. So when we do observation, after we touch that things or after we visit that place, we can feel something that is not ideal. It could be, for example, through the products. It could be the packaging, or it could be the taste if it is beverage or food or beverage. Or maybe in some areas, it could be the atmosphere, or it could be the soil quality, and also the climate changes or something like that. So we can see, or we can feel, we can experience something that is irregular. So it is something not ideal, or it will make people feel like struggling to have that kind of product, or the place maybe will make the crops don't grow well. And then by experiencing those kind of irregularities, we finally can identify the problem. Oh, this is the exactly problem of these things or of these places. So that is observation. So the key here is we have to visit that area and we have to touch, we have to see that kind of particular things. So because we cannot do observation by doing it from long distance observation, we cannot do that. The next one is by reviewing literature. We can observe the problem by doing literature review. So the literature mentioned here is the scientific literature. Of course, it has to be intertwined with agriculture or agribusiness itself. Maybe it's about cultivation, farming, or maybe it's about social economics, farmer social economics. Maybe it's about politics, because politics also has a connection with the agriculture, or agriculture has a connection with the politics. And the second, the importance of reading this literature is because as a future entrepreneurs or as a future policymakers, you have to be staying updated with what is happening, what is something new. So as an entrepreneur, if you gather the information through scientific literature, you can find real novel things, because the findings in the scientific literature are gathered by collecting a real data, a real time, and also a real analysis tools. So the truth of the findings is not doubted. So that is why, as a future entrepreneur, have to familiarize yourself to review scientific literature, so you can find the recommendation of the author or the researcher. Through that kind of recommendation, or through the kind of information they gather, or through their conclusion, you can create something, whether it is a social entrepreneur or entrepreneur itself. So you can solve the problem by reading, by understanding the problem presented by the researcher in the scientific literature. And the third about discover the problem by reviewing literature is you as an entrepreneur or as a policymaker or as a policymaker can keep adjusting the products and model business to fulfill the society's needs. Let's say currently people do shopping by scrolling their smartphone, and we just enjoy to buy the things through online. So it means like we have to maximize the digital platform of ourselves. If we don't create that kind of model business, so it means like our selling maybe will be decreasing dramatically. So that's about the products. Let's say we want, if your business is like furniture manufacturer, so which is people currently love something like modern minimalist, and your designs don't follow that kind of people desire. So it means like your product will be stuck. your selling will not be increasing. So those kind of consumer behavior, what they like and how they shop will surely you have to surely adjust your products and your business model to the society's desires. The third way to discover the problem is by joining discussion. Of course, the discussion mentioned here is a planned discussion with a certain topic. So it is not about when you socialize in a cafe or in another place, and suddenly someone give the topic and everyone respond to it, but there is no particular conclusion to the topic that you guys have mentioned. So here, another to discover the problem, particularly in agriculture field, you have to plan the discussion with a certain topic. So it means like you have to invite the people that you think will understand about that kind of topic, and you will get together and also tell them what kind of topic that you are going to discuss. And the second one about discussion is your group must have people who understand the discussed issue. At least everyone in that group ever heard about that topic. Okay, so it will help the discussion goes smooth. If not, some one or two people never heard about that case, maybe they will ask in the middle of the discussion, what is that? I don't know that. I never hear that. That kind of statement, of course, will bother the discussion. So make sure everyone you invite to the group already know that particular topic is happening. The third, this discussion should be able to bear a finding. Should be able to bear a finding. It means like after you discuss a certain topic, let's say you are gathered with 3 or 4 people. Those 4 people has different perspective in order to view one topic. So your finding will be the various perspective of the discussion members. So it has to be the finding. Maybe 2 people will have the same perspective, or 3 people will have the same perspective. So that type of perspective will be your findings. And then after having that kind of findings, at the end, you have to take conclusion, to summary the conversation and make a conclusion. So in this discussion, you will have a leader. So the leader, or we used to say moderator, they will lead the discussion. That moderator will ask everyone to discuss, will give the time limitation, and has a right to stop somebody to speak, and has a right to ask somebody to speak. So we have to pay respect to the moderator in our group discussion. And the third one is about confirming the findings. So let's say in the first discussion with the certain topic, you already have the findings. And then that findings, you will confirm to the expert. It could be to the entrepreneur, it could be to the farmer, it could be to the policy maker. and you will held another group discussion. For example, as previously you only have 4 to 5 in your classmate in one group, but when you do confirming the findings, it means you have to invite one, 2 or 3 people that present, maybe from stakeholder like entrepreneur or policymaker or farmers. So you have to confirm your findings, because in order to really recognize the problem that is happening in your topic. The last one is about the importance of time limitation. So when we do discussion, plan discussion, we have to deal with a time. I mean, like, you have to discuss whether how long time you have to join that discussion. How long at your group you have to do that kind of discussion, maybe 2 or 3 hours. So during 2 or 3 hours, it means like you already discussed that certain topic and everyone already gave the already given their point of view from their personal point of view. And then you take the findings. You take the you conclude the discussion. So 2 or 3 hours, or maybe an hour also, but yeah, as effective as you think. So when we have the time limitation, the discussion, the moderator can recognize if somebody already out of the track of the discussion. So the moderator have to able to say, oh, that is not our topic. Okay, we will discuss that in another topic. Kind of things have to be done by a moderator. So the discussion have to be getting sharper, getting more detail through the time. So when you reach end of the discussion, your conversation, your discussion already reach to the end. So it means like, I mean, like, already get the conclusion. Okay, so as we know that in the discussion, even it's not in a scientific discussion, the discussion should be done politely, even as we are the moderator or the audiences. So the rule of a discussion group, the first one, we have to listen respectfully without interrupting. So before, I have mentioned about the presence of the moderator. So when moderator asks our peers to speak, then, for example, the moderator asks our peer to speak for 2 minutes. So let's be patient to wait them to reveal their thought, their thinking for two minutes. And then when the moderator asks us to interrupt or to give some suggestion, then that's our time. So don't interrupt somebody when they reveal their thought. If it's not in the even in the debate stuff, there is a rule that we have to follow. Okay, so the second one is listen actively and with an ear to understanding others' view. So pay attention to others' view. So that is why we need to listen actively. And the third, criticize ideas, not individuals. So we cannot we cannot criticize their individual. Maybe we in the middle of the discussion, we cannot criticize their family background, their education background, or maybe their political view, their religion, their tribe. Cannot be like that. Just criticize their ideas. Next one is commit to learning, not debating. So pay attention, put in mind that when we are in discussion group, we want to gather many informations and also many perspectives. And then we have to respect all the informations and also the kind of perspective. Avoid blame, speculation, and inflammatory language. So we have to do that politely. We cannot do a harsh word. And then allow everyone the chance to speak. It is quite the same with the first one, without interrupting. So just give the chance to people to reveal, to communicate their thought. The last one is avoid assumption about any member of the class or generalization about social groups. For example, we say like, oh, your tribe, something like that. Oh, that is common in your tribe. You have to avoid that kind of things. We cannot generalize the social groups. When we see only one person that present that kind of social group, we cannot do that things. And okay, I will summary about the discover the problem. So to discover the problem, we have 3 ways in this lesson. Actually, there has a lot. First is doing observation. When we do observation, we have to touch the object. And the second one, and if it's place, we have to visit that place. We cannot do observation by doing long distance observation. We have to touch the things and also we have to visit that area. And the second one is reviewing literature. So as a future entrepreneur or as a future policymakers, you have to be able to read the scientific literature because it will help you to gather a novel things that lead you to create a new products or a new business model. Particularly to know the new consumer behavior. And the third one is discussion. So discussion mentioned here is a planned discussion with a certain topic, not not a topic that someone spill it out when you are in socializing, not that kind of things. So you have to plan a discussion group and with a certain topic. Of course, in this class, the certain topic mentioned is a topic that is related to agriculture problem. Okay, that's about the discover the problem. The second one is analyzing the problem. When we want to analyze the problem, of course, we have the tools. There are so many tools to analyze the problem. First one is problem tree. Second one is fishbone analysis. The next one is force field and SWOT and many others. SWOT, strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis. So as you see here, I give a red color. So I want to emphasize that in this class, we want to learn, we want to analyze the problem by using problem tree approach. Let's go. So what is the problem tree? It is a tool, as I mentioned before. If we want to analyze something, we have to have a tool. So problem tree approach is a tool for community groups, identify problems and determine what the most effective interventions are. So this tool can be used for community groups. So they will identify the problem by displaying that problem into form of tree, where because tree has three important parts. first is root, the second is trunk, and the third is branch and leaves. So we want to identify the problem by doing the root, by recognizing the root. The root displayed cause, and the trunk displaying the problem itself, and the branch and leaf display symptoms or effects. So that is why we call it problem tree approach. And the second one, according to Feed the Future 2070, that problem tree approach is used by groups to determine the extent to which an organization's program activities address the root causes of the problems. It seeks to alleviate and to verify that these programs can achieve the desired impact. So it means like this display also can determine the extent to which organization's program activities address the root. Which one is the root that leads to the problem? And then by displaying the problem into the problem tree, also we can analyze, we can recognize what kind of solution that is so effective to achieve the desired impact. It is according to Feed the Future 2070. So this problem of problem tree approach has advantages. So Ingenio Empresa is like consultancy, a company. So they state 4 advantage of the problem trees. First, it allows us to break down the problem, the causes, and its effects, improving its analysis. So it means like when we display our problem into problem tree approach, so we can divide it, we can recognize the cause of the problem to a more detailed causes, to more detailed cause. So because sometimes we see the cause of the problem generally, but when we display them into a problem tree approach, the cause may so many, because a tree cannot be built by only one root. It has to be many roots. So in this case, if we want to display our problem into a problem tree approach, so in the root part, we have to determine many roots, many causes that is presented by the roots on the ground. So we the cause can be broken down, and also the problem as well. But in this problem tree, the problem is put in the trunk. So that is the problem, because it will impact it by the cause, and also it have effect into the above part. The second one, there is a better understanding of the problem by disaggregating it into causes and consequences. So it means like when at first we see that the cause is general, but when we display them into problem tree approach, we can go to a more detailed causes, and also we can go to a more detailed consequences. So we display them in many things. The third one is it is a link to other research and analysis tools, such as the Vector matrix or solution tree, because we already find the causes, various causes, and also various symptoms. Of course, one case and to another case is occurred by many things. So it is possible that another to analyze the first case, we use a different analysis tools to identify one case, and also we use another analysis to identify the second case, the third case, the fourth case. So by using a different tools analysis, it means like we gather the information more detail. The more detail we gain, the more precise the solution we can plan. So the next one is facilitates the realization of other important components of a research or project in its planning stage. For example, stakeholder analysis, risk analysis, and objective. So when we are able to display the problem in the problem tree approach, so for example, we can display the causes, many causes, general causes, specific causes, and also we can display the main problem, and we can display the effects and another not so main effect. So when the stakeholder see to the display, so they can use that display to generate some policy, or also to if for entrepreneur, they can generate, they can create the products, or they can create service to solve the problem. So that is the advantage of displaying our problem into problem tree approach. The third one, the problem tree in project planning. It means like we can use this problem tree in the kind of project planning, such as in order to be able to obtain a significant data to describe the problem. So because we can get the significant data, because we use different tools to identify a different causes, a different cause. And the second one is to determine the causes and effects. So we can recognize them. What is cause in the root and what is the effects in the branch or in the leaves. And the third, elaborate project objectives. So we can understand what is the objective of this project. So we don't just assume, but because we already identify the cause even to the more detailed cause, so we know. So my aim to display the problem into problem tree is another to help the farmers to increasing their income, or to help the farmers to add the value added of the crops. So we finally know where we go. So in order to do the to make a problem tree, we have to follow some steps. The first step is to analyze the situation by asking this question. So at first in the problem, in the discovery problem, we do observation. We can read the literature. We can do the discussion. So within those three ways, we first have to ask two questions to ask: what is happening? And then why is it happening? And then what is triggering it? And further, when we complete to answer these three questions, we can collect the data. The data could be qualitative or could be quantitative. And this data is too expensive. So important, because by understanding the data, we can recognize the situation. We can conclude the real problem that is happening. And then the data, the informations, the data we process become the informations, and it will help us to the next step. And the step 2 is to identify the main problems of the situation. The main problems of the situation. For example, we see, we saw one problem in the place, but after we answer the 3 questions before, so we finally get into the conclusion, well, so the main problem is this. So we found the trunk. Step 3, determine the effects and causes of the main problem. So after we find the real main problem, and then we ask the people, what is the effect of the problem? And then we put them in the branch or in the leaves. So the display of our problem tree, when we display our problem into problem tree approach, the picture should have the root, the trunk, and also the branches or the leaves. So as a normal tree. So, and then the fourth step is about drawing the tree. Drawing the tree that can be presenting the problem. Step 5, go deeper into causes and effects. It means that when we ask the expert or when we ask the indigenous person in the area, for example, they have mentioned one cause. And then we can go deeper to ask them, that cause is occurred by what? And then have more detailed causes and also the effect. When we ask the first effect, they mention one effect, and we can we can explore to a more detailed effects of the main problem. So this is the illustration of the problem tree approach. Here is the cause in the root, and next the problem nearby to the trunk, and also the symptoms. Symptoms is the symptom displayed by the branches and also the leaves. I took the picture from this link. Okay, so let's go to one example about problem tree approach. So this example I took from my research last year. It is about the competitive analysis of white jasmine flower in Indonesia. So white jasmine flower, Jasminum samba, is a well-known flower in Indonesia. It has various purposes and special meaning to celebrate many events for many tribes and religions. Central Java province is the production center of white jasmine flower, especially in a village named Depok. It is stated in Kandeman district, Regency of Batang. So, white jasmine flower has so many purposes in Indonesia. In many tribes use it as an important part into their ceremony, and also some religion as well. The demand of white jasmine flower is so high. So the data shows that Indonesian white jasmine flower only fulfill 20% of domestic demands. This data was in 2019. I cannot find newest information about these findings. So in 2019, this is the problem. So there is no special. There is no the demand that even the domestic demand cannot be fulfilled. So let's say to the second step. So why it cannot be fulfilled? Of course, because the decreasing of the jasmine, white jasmine production. So in the step second, what makes the white jasmine flower production keep decreasing? So by doing observation, so actually it is occurred by the reducing of white jasmine plantation. Why it is reducing? It is driven by the price fluctuation. So the price of the white jasmine flower highly fluctuate. Because of what? Because the price is so high when it comes to the celebration day, tribe or religion celebration day. And also the reducing of the white jasmine plantation, also because of the salt content in the soil is increasing. Why is it increasing? Because the farmers say that the sea level, because that area nearby the sea, the ocean, the sea level is increasing. So it means that the seawater, the seawater come to the reach the surface of the white jasmine plantation, because the seawater contains salts. So when the seawater come to the reach the white plantation soil, so it left the water, the salt in there. So that is the second cause. And the next one is the interest of the younger generation for jasmine cultivation has decreased dramatically. Through our observation, we saw that the young people there prefer to work in the industry, such as manufacture industry. So they love to work there because they are paid for their payment is stable. It means like they can guarantee that they will get money every month, compared to white jasmine plantation. They don't know whether the price will be increasing. They don't know whether the price will be decreasing. So they feel like not stable to do white jasmine plantation. And the step 3, those problems that are mentioned in the step 2 drive the farmers to transfer their daily job from farmers to fishermen, because the decreasing of the plantation, and they finally transform their job from farmers to be fishermen. And some of them sell their land because that land is no longer productive, because it is not suitable to grow the white jasmine. And another one, converting the white jasmine plantation with other crops such as mango and another kind of fruit. So they transform that, because that kind of crop more resistant to the salination level. And the fourth is to draw the problem tree. So this one is the step first, to identify why the white jasmine flower production keep increasing. And then go to the step 2, identify the cause. There are 3 causes to lead to the decreasing of the white jasmine flower production. And the next one, this is the a whole problem tree. So this one is the root, this one is the trunk, and this one is the effect. They finally transform their job, and then they sell their land, and then they convert the crop from white jasmine flower into another crops. Okay, so let me summary for the second topic. It's about to analyze the problem. Analyze the problem mentioned here. The problem we mentioned here is analyzed by using problem tree approach. So in this problem tree approach, we display the problem into trees form. Normal tree has root, trunk, and leaves and branches. So when we are asked to display our problem into the problem tree, we have to determine, we have to describe the root. What is the root? The root is something that present cause the problem. And the second part, when we identify the root or the cause, and finally to the problem that we see by our eyes, or we can feel something that we feel irregularities, irregular. And then that is strong. That is the main problem. And then in the third part here, the symptoms, the effect. So it is put in the branches or leaves. So job transfer, selling the land, and the land conversion. So this is the simple one. We don't include the step 5. For example, if we want to include the step 5, it means what makes the highly price. This highly price will have another cause as well, maybe 2 or 3. The increasing of the salt content within the soil also will have many another causes. And the same thing can be happen into effect as well. If we want to ask job transfer, we can ask what kind of what is another effect that is occurred because of job transfer. Maybe the increasing of the income, or maybe move to another city. So that kind of things, we include the step 5. We go to a deeper observation. Okay, so that is my summary into second topic. Okay, so in this class, we have some exercise. Exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, and exercise 4. I have put the exercise in handout in my lecture note. You can go to the lecture note to find the question in the exercise 1. But I will show you the question in my handout in my lecture note, which is I also will submit them together with my presentation. Of course, in another file name. I name them, I put them in the Word, and my presentation I put in PowerPoint. So in the exercise 1, there are some requirements. In exercise 2 also, and in exercise 3, exercise 4. Okay, so let's see at first about the exercise in my note, in my handout. So here you can find this with my you can find this together with my PPT. So this one is I have presented it at my PPT. So let me go directly to the exercise 1. So this one. What is the question of the exercise 1? The question is, consider a problem that you observe faced by farmers who cultivate various crops, namely food crops, horticulture, and plantation crops. Okay, so in this part, you can fill the table to answer this exercise 1. Where is the table? The table is in the last page, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So here is the exercise. This is the way how you will answer the exercise 1. Fill the column below to answer the question at box of exercise 1. The question is, you have to observe the problem within 3 main crops, namely food crops, horticulture crops, and plantation crops. Like food crops, just like rice field, you can go to rice farmer. And horticulture crops, it could be vegetable or flowers, and plantation crops, you can go to tea plantation, tea farmers, or oil palm farmers. So you can figure it out now. Who you are going to interview, or you are going to observe, where you will go to observe, to do observation. So because there are 3 main crops: food crops, horticultural crops, and also plantation crops. So it means that this table also you have to put it to have 3 tables. 1 table to answer the problem, to identify the problem that is happened for food crops farmers. The second table is a table to identify the problem faced by horticulture crops. And the third table is table to identify the problem that is faced by plantation farmers. So these things, you have to submit them into our flexible learning website. Let's see to the second exercise. The question for the second exercise is this. Find an article about agribusiness of horticulture that describes problem faced by the farmers and go through the other recommendations about to overcome the problems. So this one, in exercise 2, I give the limitation to the farmer that to the article that you are going to review. It has to be horticulture. The article has to present the problem in horticulture crops. Remember, it can be vegetable, it can be like flowers, or it can be medicine plants. So you cannot go to food crops farmers, or you cannot go to plantation crops farmers. So have to be the horticulture farmers. And then how to answer this? Let's go to the next page here. Write down the summary of the article. Okay, and the second one, make on the list the problems you observe. So the third one, make the list of other recommendations. So exercise 1 and exercise 2 is about to discover the problem. At exercise 1, you discover the problem by doing observation. In exercise 2, you discover the problem by doing literature review. So when you understand that scientific article, you can go to another journal, scientific journals, and download one article, and then you decided that article has to discuss about the problem in horticulture crops. So after you understand, you have a complete comprehension about that article, you have to write down the summary of the article. The summary is about what is the background, how they analyze the problem, and what is the result, and what is the conclusion. And the second one, make on the list the problems you observe. So make on the list. So it means like you have to put on the list the problems. Maybe that article consists of 1 or 2 problems. Then you have to list them. And the third one is make the list of other recommendation. At the end of the scientific article, we used to see the recommendations. So you have to recognize what is the recommendation of the author or the researcher in order to solve the problem. The exercise 3 is about to discover the problem by doing discussion. As you see here, it is divided into 2 parts, exercise 3A and exercise 3B. So it has to be done in a group. So when you do this, you have to make a report. You have to write down the discussion topic, write down the findings, write down the conclusion, and then attach the discussion photos within the report. So you have to do like documentation. And exercise 4, you have to draw in the application that you are expert in about the problem tree approach, that this can be displayed the problem you gather through exercise 1, exercise 2, or exercise 3. And then elaborate the problem 3 within minimum 500 words. Okay, so exercise 3 and exercise 4 are connected because you need the information from exercise 3 to answer the exercise 4. Okay, so far that is my class. If you have another question, you can write it down through our flexible learning. Thank you so much.